Hey guys, welcome back to Ask Snes. It's absolutely bloody freezing today. It's been getting colder every single day this week. I did say it was gonna, but yeah, it is bleeding nicely. Hope you're all well, hope you're having a good time and your week's gone pretty smoothly so far. So here we are, Friday again, more questions, and I thought we'd have a change of scenery today as well. I'm in the living room for a change. Just thought I'd come out of the game room and give you something different to look at in the background. So here we go. First set of questions today are from our good friend Stu, Skunkworks0. Thank you very much, Stu. First question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being Isaac Newton and 1 being someone who watches The Only Way is Essex. I like that that's like the very bottom. How intelligent are you? I would probably say a 7 or 8. Yeah, maybe 7.5. I'm not stupid, at least not in my opinion. And I'm not highly intelligent in terms of knowing a lot of facts about a lot of different things. But I've got a pretty decent knowledge and I'm able to form opinions. So yeah, I would probably say about a 7.5. I think more importantly, the thing that's lacking these days is common sense, which I have a lot of. And that's the most important thing. You can know a lot of facts, you can learn a lot of things, but you can't learn common sense. You've either got it or you haven't. Number 2, what's the angriest you've ever got playing a video game? That would be Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands. Now, it's funny because I was talking to Jay Cybersnake7 about this the other day, and he pinpointed the exact point that I got stuck at, and he was so right. Near the end of the game, you have to do, you got the controller, and it's like literally multiple button presses and combinations, and you've got to jump from wall to wall and freeze walls and do this, that, and the other, and unfreeze parts, and it is ridiculously complicated for what it is. And I got through it, but it was not a pleasant sight trying to get through it. I got that frustrated. I just got the pad. I went, slammed it down on the couch, lost grip on it, and it went flying off the couch, bounced up in the air, over the other side of the room, hit the wood floor, and I was like, oh shit, and I just saw it skate across the floor. I was like, oh. Kind of like makes you realise that you shouldn't get angry when things like that happen, because, you know, when you've got to replace a controller, it's not a good thing. So luckily it wasn't damaged. But yeah, Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands, definitely. What do you miss about city life? Sod all. That's the short answer, Stu. Nothing whatsoever. I love country life, would never give it up. I'd never go back to the city now. It's too busy, too many people, too noisy. I like the peace and quiet. Apart from Mario World, which other Mario games have you beaten? To the best of my knowledge, I've beaten Mario 3D World on the Wii U, Mario 3D Land, I believe it's called, on the 3DS, New Super Mario Bros. Wii on the Wii. I've done Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, although I've not completed all of the tracks, so maybe that doesn't really count, but I've physically completed the game. I just haven't completed like all of the 50cc, 100 and 150cc tracks. So sort of yeah, you can kind of count that one. Other than that, I don't really know. I mean, I think that's the only ones that I can think of. Mario 3 I've nearly completed. I just can't do that last world. I just keep getting my ass handed to me. So when I get Mario All-Stars back, or Mario Collection as it's known in Japan, that's my goal. I've got to try and beat Mario 3 because I really want to see the end of that game. Do you like to marathon loads of episodes of a show, one after the other? Or do you like once a week viewing where you get to watch a show as the new episodes air? At the moment I do, like, I'm still in that old traditional way of watching TV. I like to watch an episode by episode each week because I like that tension that it builds when they leave a cliffhanger and you're waiting. And especially with American shows, they tend to have quite a fair bit of time between episodes sometimes. You can be like 2 weeks, it can be a month sometimes. It all depends what's happening. If there's like, obviously there's public holidays, there's events like the Super Bowl that impact on when the shows are shown. Sometimes they just have a mid-season break and it can be off for a few weeks. So in that sense, box sets are better. And with shows that I really love, like Arrow, 24, Supernatural, I'll buy the box set once they come out anyway and re-watch the whole lot. And it does have its benefits, I must admit, but I do prefer the weekly watch. If you get stuck on a game, are you most likely to use a guide, keep going until you find a way to continue, or would you give up? It'd be a combination of the last two. I do keep going until I can do it, and if I can't do it, and then I'll give up. But I have to have multiple attempts. I mean, the prime example for me is Tomb Raider on PS3. When I first got that when it was released, that forest section drove me insane because I'm not good at stealth. I can't play stealth games. I get very irritated by them. I've said it many a time. It's not my favourite type of genre whatsoever. And so trying to do that section, I just couldn't work it out. And I just kept getting owned and they were just shooting me constantly. I was dying over and over and over again. I got very frustrated. I spent about 15, 20 attempts trying to do that right. Still couldn't do it. Recently I played Battlefield 4, got to a section in the game. Most of the game was quite easy to get through. I just got to the one part of the campaign, and no matter what I did, I just kept getting shot, and I just couldn't find our way around and to get through to the next part, and it was really irritating. And I was playing it on a Saturday afternoon, constantly playing it over and over and over again. I got to the point I was just getting that frustrated, and I think the more frustrated you get, the more angry you get. The more angry you get, the more chance you're making silly little mistakes. And when you make silly little mistakes, you get annoyed with yourself for making those stupid little mistakes. Especially with a shooter where you've worked out how to get from one side of the map to the other, and you've got a plan, and you know what works and what doesn't work from trial and error, and then you just make the same stupid mistake over and over again. Very annoying. So I took time out, I walked away from it. 24 hours later, I came back, about 2, maybe 3 attempts, got through it, no problem at all. So yeah, I think sometimes you just have to walk away and just chill yourself out of it. Do you miss being a smoker? If you could smoke now without any of the health risks, would you? No, I don't, and no, I wouldn't. I absolutely detest smoking. I'm one of those people that cannot stand it. It's one of the most vile, disgusting, unnecessary habits. What's your favourite 3D fighter? So 3D fighter is going to be probably Tekken 3. I haven't played a whole swathe of 3D fighters, so I don't really have that much experience. I'm more of a 2D guy. But if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be Tekken 3 because it's got Eddie Gordo, and it really was a stunning looking game. It still looks beautiful to this day actually. It really makes the PS1 shine, especially the Eddie Gordo level because there's so much colour, it's just beautiful. When you were drinking a lot in your younger days, did you suffer with bad hangovers? Yeah, lots. What were your go-to hangover cures? A bottle of Coke is usually the one I go for. That seems to be the only thing that worked for me because when you get hangovers you get that really horrible, dry, nasty throat, and I always found that drinking Coca-Cola seemed to soothe my throat, and it would just make my body feel a bit better because obviously you get very dehydrated, just your chest and your stomach feel like crap. Also sleeping a lot or just crashing on the couch watching mindless TV and films and playing games and just things to take your mind off it. Obviously I didn't really get that many headaches, it was more the lethargic feeling, the dry throat, and the dehydration was not a nice thing at all. When I asked people on Twitter what they thought about amiibos, the answer from pretty much everyone who wasn't collecting them was negative. Things like a waste of plastic, kids' toys, etc. Why do you think, amiibos, more so than other figures, seem to have divided people into two groups, those who collect and those who dislike them? I think for the most part, people just like to be negative on social media, full stop. It seems to be the culture these days that the instant reaction to anything is to be a negative person. I don't know why, but there's a lot of people out there that like to be negative about anything and everything. They don't want to be happy and positive and try and find the good things. So the only thing I'd say is I think the only reason the amiibos are getting, I mean I don't know myself, so I haven't done the research, I'm just going by what you're asking me. So if it is that the amiibos are getting more hate than other action figures, for instance, I assume it's probably Sony and Microsoft teenage fanboys who just hate Nintendo and have no history with the company and don't really care for it and see it as a child's toy. Whereas us, like, we're a lot older, we grew up with Nintendo and they mean a lot more to us and we're a lot more protective of them. I just think if you don't like amiibos, like anything, if you don't like them, you don't want to buy them, just walk away and just take the notice. Just let us who buy them be happy. It doesn't affect your life in any way if we're buying them. You know, you don't have to watch us on YouTube. You don't have to look at the figures on any of the sites. You don't have to buy them. You know, it's consumerism, man. Thanks for the question, Stu. Next set of questions from Mus247365. So thank you very much, Mus. First question is: any plans for outdoor videos? Maybe stick the camera on front of your bike. I have tried that. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work, mate, to be honest. When I did it before, I did it about a year ago, it's really hard to mount a camera and to keep it steady, because when you're riding your mountain bike, obviously you're going over rough terrain. I'm not going over like cliffs and things, I'm just driving around the streets, but nonetheless, the roads and the pavements aren't particularly great around here. They don't do a good job of maintaining them. So there's a lot of potholes and things. And so the camera's just like shaking all over the place, and it doesn't make a good viewing experience. But I've always wanted to do like a lot of the Americans do, where they stick the camera in the car and they go and take a road trip and take you with them. I love those videos. I think they're fantastic. There's a guy I watch called John Flicks, who I've mentioned before, who does movie reviews, and he also buys Blu-rays and talks about his collection. And he'll do his day trips where he goes out to find the latest Blu-rays. And I love them because they're always really funny as well, but they're really interesting. So maybe one day, if I can work out a way to do it, if I'm going somewhere, which to be honest, I don't really go that many places, that's the problem. I don't really have an exciting life to show you, but if there were more places I could go, like the ideal place would be like the events like Blackpool. When it eventually gets to the time where I can afford to go to Blackpool, that would be more of an event occasion. And I know a lot of people do that, but I personally think that'd be a great thing to do. I'd love to be able to, take you on the journey from Weston all the way to Blackpool and then show you around Blackpool. That'd be really cool. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens in the future. I think with car videos, you need like a GoPro as well. It's probably the best option. Did you hear that Sega are quitting making console games and switching to mobile and PC only? Sad news, someone should be shot for what's happening to Sega. Yeah, true. Yeah, I did hear this the other day. I can't remember who it was. I watched the video and someone was talking about this. It is a shame, but I think, at the end of the day, the last few games they've put out that they've published, they're probably not doing as well as they expected, and so they're looking at their margins and realising that the mobile space and the PC space is where they're going to make the biggest profit. So they, as a business, they have to make that decision and move away to those two platforms. It's a real shame. I mean, me personally, the mobile platform as a gaming platform is not relevant to me. It's to offer a quick bit of Angry Birds or like an Arkanoid game or some, what's that, like the bubble busting game. I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, those kind of games are all right, but they're not. I wouldn't have like a full feature length experience on a phone. I think that's pointless. I don't see that at all. Then again, I'm also not a handheld gamer as well, so it doesn't really appeal to me yet whatsoever. But yeah, I think the main thing is be happy that Sega are still around no matter what form they're in. It's a shame not the company they used to be in the 90s, and even the 80s for that matter, but it is what it is. Did you ever bunk off school as a kid? Yeah, a couple of times. What was the first 18 rated movie that you saw at the cinema? Muzzy's first one was The Fly 2. I don't remember The Fly too much. I remember The Fly and it was really disgusting, but I don't remember ever the first 18 rated film that I got to see at the cinema, to be honest with you, mate. At that point, I was a lot older and I was able to just go and see what I wanted, so I didn't really pay attention to the rating system. When I was younger, all the 18 rated films I saw when I wasn't supposed to be watching them, all on VHS. They were rented from the local video store, which was Video King in Yardley. A great video shop that was. What did you want to do for a job when you were a kid? I always wanted to do special effects for movies, but it didn't happen, sadly. Honestly, when I was a kid and a teenager, and even now, I've never had a motivation. I've never known what I wanted to be. I've never had that push, unfortunately. I've always wished I could have. I wish I could have been one of those people that grew up thinking, I want to be this, I want to be that, and really strive towards that goal. But now, at 37, I feel as though I've really wasted my time, and I really should have done something with my life, and it's a real shame. And I'm not trying to be like depressing about it. It's just the way it is, isn't it? I'm not like, oh God, I've wasted my life, because I haven't. I'm happy with my life. It is what it is. But I wish I'd had a career that would have been better. If I'd have been pushed more at school, and obviously, with 30 kids in the class, the teachers can't pay attention to individuals. But it would have been nice to have had that push in English to do writing, because I really like writing stories. Maybe I could have become an author, but it is what it is, eh? So, next one. Do you watch Luke Morty's YouTube videos? Occasionally, yes, I do. I watch the odd video, like his gameplay videos, because when I'm looking for games on the Super Famicom that I'm not aware of, Luke's videos are usually the ones that come up. So that's always a cool thing. He's a really nice guy as well. Great channel. Caravan, tent or hotel? I prefer the hotel. Yeah, caravan's fine. Tent, no thanks. Hotels, absolutely, because you've got the comforts, you've got the shower, you've got the bed, the TVs. It's all good. The ideal thing I'd love to try, which you haven't put, is cabin. I've always wanted to do what the Americans do. You go out in the woods and have a cabin. That would be seriously cool. Despite the fact you've got bears and rednecks, but I mean, other than that, I'd love to try a cabin in the woods and serial killers. Do you think men and women can be just friends without lust getting in the way? Yeah, absolutely. I've had a couple of really close female friends in the past who I've gotten on really well with, and they're just like my best mates, like my male friends. So yeah, it is absolutely possible. Sometimes it can, develop, but that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because you get, you spend all those years as friends, and you've really got to know each other well, and then if a romantic relationship comes out of it, that's fantastic. But it is possible to just be mates and nothing more. So thanks for the questions. Next set of questions are from LFC Gamer. His first question is, thank you for the questions, by the way. First question is, apparently according to the newspapers, some stupid parent decided to name their child Nutella. How very dumb is that? Yeah. What more can I say, mate? If someone's called the kid Nutella, they're a bit of a dick. Why would you do that, seriously? I don't know. Have you ever been pulled over by the police or been cautioned? No, I haven't. Not had any interaction with the police, thank God, and I hope I never have. I never will. Have you ever played, or would you like to own a physical copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PAL format? LFC got it on the cheap before it shot up in price. That was a bit of luck. Yeah, I would like to play the game. I would only own the PAL version if I actually enjoyed the game enough to pay the money, because it's £100 plus and it's an expensive game. So at the moment, what I would do, because I've got a cheap PlayStation anyway, assuming the US copy hasn't gone through the roof, I haven't checked in a long time, but if it's still as cheap as it was before, I'll pick an American copy up, just play the game, see if I like it. If I like it enough to own it, then I'll just go and buy a PAL version for my PAL collection. Even though the SNES is your favourite 16-bit console, do you still appreciate the PC Engine and the Mega Drive highly? The PC Engine, I love the console. I don't know enough about it to really praise it as much as the Super Nintendo, but from what I've played of it, I've really enjoyed the games. More for me, the arcade ports than the shooters. I love Vigilante, it's a brilliant port. R-Type, even though it's a shooter, is an arcade port and is a fantastic one at that. Operation Wolf is a really nice, tidy port as well. The Mega Drive, when I was a kid, I was a Nintendo guy, I was Super Nintendo all the way. I had a Mega Drive briefly to play Streets of Rage, which, that was the only game that really made me go wow, and probably Castle of Illusion as well, because stellar game at the time. But the Super Nintendo was the best console for me. Had all the games I wanted to play. So as an adult, I've dabbled with a Mega Drive now and again, and now I've got a Japanese Mega Drive again, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a really good console, some fantastic titles. The 16-bit generation, Amiga, SNES, and Mega Drive, without doubt the best. Some amazing games. So yeah, I love the Mega Drive, and as it happens, just as a sneak preview, this came today. Next addition to my Mega Drive collection. This is going to be an interesting one because I wasn't expecting to get any Mega Drive games or Super Nintendo games for a while, and that one is a very special one, a very special addition to my collection. So keep your eye on my channel, that'll be coming up shortly. What other sports have you tried to show some interest in besides the NFL? I tried basketball once because all my friends when I was growing up, they were mad basketball fans. And it's alright, it's interesting. I don't really understand what's going on. As is most of the case with sport, I find it difficult. Yeah, so probably basketball. The only sport I've really got into is tennis. I really enjoy tennis. I like watching Wimbledon. So I'm a fair weather fan. I don't watch it like regular, but I do like Wimbledon. Have you ever watched the film Kung Pao? If you haven't by any chance, you really need to see it. Really bad but really good martial arts film. I've never seen it, I've never heard of it either, so I'll check that one out. Who is your least favourite Street Fighter 2 character? That's a really good question, man. I've never thought about that before. Maybe T-Hawk. Yeah, I mean, he's alright, but he's not particularly amazing. He isn't as cool as, like, when those characters came around, like Fei Long, Cammy. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, and DJ as well. I mean, obviously, they were fantastic. And all of the traditional Street Fighter 2 characters were fantastic. Probably T-Hawk and Dalsim, because Dalsim's alright, but it doesn't really offer much. He's just got stretchy limbs and he can flame you. But yeah, I'll go with that. I don't understand why the earlier released Mega Drive Genesis games weren't region locked, but the later ones were. Thank goodness we can now modify our Mega Drives to play all regions in both 50 and 60 Hz. I find this rather fascinating, but do you? I'm not entirely certain of the history and what was it about 94 when they started locking the games, I believe. I know Sonic 3's locked. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reason was. I don't know if it's licensing or what happened there. It's a bit weird. I mean, I would assume that means the console is actually region free and that the software itself is locked. A lot to do with PlayStation. They make the console free, region free, and the developers can make the decision to lock the games. I don't know the history, so I don't know why they did that, but it does seem a bit odd. It would be fascinating actually for someone to do a documentary on the Mega Drive and to cover that. It'd be interesting to know why. On holidays, I love the sound of the sea, apart from when you're desperate for a pee, and the noise just makes the urge unbearable. What do you think of this? Well, that's just like anything. It's like a running tap. Running water makes you want to go to the toilet, doesn't it? So yeah, I love the sound of the sea. It's the best thing in the world, days, mate. What common expressions or sayings really grind your gears? At the moment, it seems for some reason in the culture we're living in, someone comes up with an expression or a saying or a word, and everyone just overuses it, especially in the gaming industry, like in the journalism. They just milk it constantly. Like meta is the one that keeps getting used over and over again, and I'm getting sick and tired of hearing it. In general culture, one that really gets on my tits is emotional roller coaster. I could punch people who say that. It really winds me up. It's like, just let it go. Just stop using it. Oh, and smash it as well. That really pisses me off. Bleeding Cheryl Cole's fault. God, that's irritating. I get so sick of it. It's like, oh, just come up with something new, please. How often do you get lag from YouTube? Every time they do a shitty update that doesn't need doing, true. It feels like it's getting more and more glitched up and you have to refresh the page constantly. Google, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ain't that the truth and all? They just sort of tinker with it and they just like tweak it for no bloody reason. I don't get that much lag. The only lag I've been getting lately is because my computer is old and it's really underpowered, and I try and do anything, and like if I'm trying to render a video, forget it. It shuts the whole thing down. I can't run on YouTube videos or anything. But yeah, although the internet itself is getting a bit shit because they're just filling it up with adverts and videos and all this other crap. And you know, not all of us have got high-speed broadband, so we can't run these things, and it really causes problems. Okay, and the last question: do you still keep up to date with the UK top 40, or aren't you interested in it anymore? To be quite honest, he says that he tries to avoid it if possible as well. Most of today's number ones are absolutely atrocious. Yeah, I don't pay attention to it whatsoever. The only time I ever hear like recent new music is if I'm at my parents' house because they have the radio on in the background, so I'll hear the latest songs. But yeah, I couldn't tell you who's in the top 40 and what position or anything anymore. It's not like when I was a kid and used to watch Top of the Pops on a regular basis. Those days are gone, unfortunately. Okay. Right, so next set of questions from Sega sent me one, so thank you very much. His first question is, you highly rate the PlayStation 1, as do I. However, I also feel it's responsible for killing off two great potential consoles and a continued Sega and Nintendo rivalry. I think the PlayStation 1 never if the PlayStation 1 never happened, the GameCube versus Dreamcast legacy could have been a very interesting path. It raises so many questions. Would the Wii have even happened, as Nintendo never really wanted to get into the CD market originally? Would Sega have enough profit to continue making consoles despite the failure of some 90s consoles? Would Microsoft ever have wanted a foot in the games market? Be cool to hear what you have to say. I would disagree with the CD thing, because I think at the end of the day they were trying to make that deal with Sony to make the CD add-on for the Famicom, so they were, or the Super Nintendo, so they were trying to compete with the Mega CD. But of course they went and screwed Sony over. I believe it was Philips, and so Sony went, well, stick it up your arse, and they went and bought out the PlayStation anyway. Because from what I've read in the past, there was going to be like a CD add-on, which for the Super Nintendo, there's also going to be this thing called the PlayStation, which would play Super Nintendo cartridges and the new CD-based games as well. And Nintendo weren't happy about the licensing, that PlayStation were going to have access to the licensing on the games or something. So they went and made a sneaky deal with Philips, and Sony went and made it for themselves. I think it was at CES, and they announced the partnership. And then Nintendo went, actually no, we're going with Philips. And Sony went, you bastards. And they went, right, that's it, we're going to make the PlayStation on their own. And that history is what it is. So Nintendo's own fault, really. They screwed up the Nintendo Sega thing. It's their own bloody fault. Yeah, I think GameCube versus Dreamcast would have been an interesting one. But then again, technically it was anyway, wasn't it? Because they were all the same generation. I mean, Sega, in terms of profit, that was their own mistake. You know, as has been said many a time, you know, the 32X, the Saturn, the Dreamcast, they were just throwing everything at the wall and hoping something stuck. So that was their own bloody fault. They sank themselves there, I think. And Microsoft, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Had the Sony Nintendo thing not happened, and Sony had continued with the partnership, and we had the CD add-on, and we had that separate PlayStation, and I don't know how that would have worked, really. It's interesting to know what would have happened with Nintendo at that point, because you would have had Nintendo versus Sega, but you've also got Sony on the periphery as well, who are in bed with Nintendo. And obviously they made the same chip for the Super Nintendo as well, so I don't know how that would have worked long term, because you would have technically had three companies, but really you'd only have the two companies. It's a bit of a weird one. I don't see that Microsoft would have wanted to come into the gaming market at that point, because obviously they only came into it when they did because it was the right time. Yeah, the whole thing, it's like literally is like a defining moment in the gaming history where it splits, and that is the exact moment with that CD add-on for the Super Nintendo. It's like, it's really fascinating that you've got that actual moment that you can pinpoint where it all changed. It's a fascinating. I would love to see a full documentary about that whole time period. It'd be amazing. I know we've got that one coming out, that film called The Console Wars, about Sega and Nintendo rivalry. But it would be really cool for someone to do a proper in-depth interview and a proper documentary about the whole Nintendo and Sony situation. And also, you could also do one about Sega and the failure of Sega and what they were thinking when they're coming out with all these add-ons and new consoles. It's a really great time, actually, to be honest. I find it really interesting. So next question. I respect all forms of gaming, but indie games have never appealed to me personally. Me neither, mate. I feel that time could be used better to recreate 16-bit gaming. Why not just make something original, but something that pays homage to the retro rather than these quirky games on PSN, etc. Shovel Knight is the exception, I guess. I don't know much about it, but what's your thoughts? Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me. A lot of it seems, like modern art, it seems to be very snobby and self-indulgent, and it probably isn't, but that's just the way it comes across to me. It's like, oh, look how cool we are. Very hipster style. And I don't like the pseudo-pixel style that a lot of the games use as well. It just doesn't appeal to me. Plus it's digital as well, so it definitely doesn't appeal to me. I'm sure some of the games are great fun to play and everything. I'm not saying they aren't, because I haven't played them, so I don't know. But the actual style of the indie thing doesn't interest me whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather people just pay more attention to making games for old consoles. I like when people do Kickstarters and they make brand new games for the Mega Drive and the SNES. I think that's much more interesting. Does region blocking on modern consoles bug you? Or do they do this because games are cheaper in other regions, or the content doesn't meet the standard of some countries? What is your opinion? Well, PlayStation's region free, so it doesn't really affect me at the moment because I haven't got an Xbox. I do think region locking should be gotten rid of because it's kind of pointless, really. I understand that they do it for several reasons, like release a game in America and it's not released in Europe and the UK, and it's coming out in the future, so they don't want to lose sales and all these cobblers. But at the end of the day, it's a global market now. People are all connected with the internet. People are going to import no matter what you do. It's like, for example, Australia, they have a habit of banning games, and all that does is just force all Australian gamers to import the game from other countries. So that's just affecting the Australian economy. So to me, that's really stupid. But what can you do? Do you think you would ever buy a Japanese Wii in the future? Maybe for getting to play unreleased titles and get some cool box art. I've not even looked at Japanese Wii titles. I don't know what the box art looks like, so that's something I need to do. I also don't know what Japanese exclusives are available. The Wii's a bit of a console for me. There's some good stuff on it, but yeah. Oh, hang on, it says Wii U. I just misread that, the Wii U. Oh, in that case, that's different. Sorry, mate, I misread the question. I don't know. I'd have to look to what the Wii U box art's like, and that might be quite interesting. And I don't know what exclusives they're getting. So yeah, mate, who knows? We'll wait and see in the future what happens. I wish we could have a physical copy of DuckTales Remastered and a Castle of Illusion. Any games would see a physical copy of? Well, there is one of DuckTales Remastered because I got it on the PlayStation 3, mate, so you can buy that. And I believe in America they got it on the Wii as well, on the Wii U. I don't know about the 360, it might be, I'm sure they probably did. The Castle of Illusion one, I'd love a physical copy because I haven't played it and I really want to try that, it looks lovely. Yeah, any time really, I'm not aware, because I don't really pay attention to the digital market and what's getting released, so anytime they make games from the past, like they did with Strider, they got a physical release in Japan. When they rework old games, I'm all up for that. I think that's fantastic. The more of those they do and the more physical releases they put out, the better. Did you ever play Dead Space on PS3 and did you enjoy it? I've not played those games yet. I've heard so many good things about it, and quite frankly, now is the time with the price of the games. I should really pick them up and try them. I'm not really into survival horror as much as I was back when I was younger. Back in the day, the original Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 were fantastic. I absolutely adored Silent Hill on the PS1, mainly because I picked that game up not knowing anything about it, and I really, really enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, I probably will give Dead Space a try because they're so cheap now. I found out recently that the Famicom Light Zapper looks like a real gun. Ever owned one? I haven't, mate. I wasn't aware of that, so I need to look at that as well. Can you name 3 movies that feature scenes where people are playing video games, but the films are not based on video games? For example, you cannot say Tron or The Wizard. I'll give you a clue for one answer by quoting a line from the movie. Isn't this a school day? It's a sequel, and the guy who says it, a part man, part machine. So is that Terminator, I assume? Yeah, and it's like Terminator 2, they're all playing in the arcade, because John Connor, remember right, is in that Afterburner cabinet. Isn't it the one that Craig is here again has got? I'm sure it's that cabinet. So that's one, Terminator 2. Jesus Christ. I honestly can't think of any others, mate, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, is that T1000 that says that line? I'm sure it is. It's been a long time since I watched it. But yeah, I can't think of any others. I'll go with Terminator 2 anyway, because I know that one for definite. Robocop 2. I've just thought of another one. Because if I remember rightly, that psycho little kid with Kane, they've all got arcade machines, I'm sure that's right. What do you think about this controversy about Nintendo taking a cut from well-known YouTubers if they decide to play one of their games? I don't know what this situation is. I know that Nintendo's got their own partnership deal now, haven't they, where you can partner with Nintendo so that you don't get bitch slapped for putting up their content. So I'm assuming that's what you mean by taking a cut, because they've got the partnership. So like any partnership on YouTube, they're going to take their percentage, which, to be quite honest, I don't have a problem with that. At the end of the day, if you're using Nintendo's products in your videos, if you're showing their content, I don't really have a problem with Nintendo taking a cut from that. I understand you may not want to bash fellow YouTubers, absolutely not. But didn't you get sick of seeing the same people on the homepage? Wouldn't it be good if some buried away YouTubers that no one knows about got a shot on this homepage? Maybe YouTube could figure an algorithm for this in a certain section, like Channel of the Week. I think it's a great idea. I don't really pay attention to what comes up on my homepage, if I'm absolutely honest with you, and that would probably be a better thing if they did recycle it and didn't just keep pushing the massive ones like PewDiePie and people who I don't watch, I'm not interested in watching. I would much rather it would give me the more lower channels like us guys, give us a bit more of a boost, and it'd be a lot easier way to find people, because they've made it a lot more difficult these days. Because even if you just do a search for retro gaming, it's still not easy, because not everybody's going to use that as a tag, unfortunately, which makes it really difficult to find new channels. So the way I find new channels is mostly through the feed when people are liking videos. J.J. Abrams and HBO are currently making a show based on the 70s movie Westworld. I didn't know that, and that's bloody cool. Is that something you're familiar with, and are you a fan of HBO, Sky Atlantic? If so, what's your favourite? To be honest, mate, I never know what show's on which network. The only time I'm aware of shows like Alias was on ABC, Dexter was on Showtime, Homeland's on Showtime as far as I'm aware. I couldn't tell you what's on HBO. I know The Sopranos was on HBO, that's about it. But as for Westworld, yeah, the Yul Brynner film was brilliant. I haven't watched it for a long, long time, but it's a really good film. So, J.J. Abrams, massive fan. I've said it before. I think the guy's amazing. So I'll watch anything he puts his hand to. So it depends whether he's actually involved in it or not. Because I know, like Fringe, he started being involved, then he moved away, and it was just his name on the credits. And I think the same happened with Lost as well. But nonetheless, I'm up for that. Definitely, I'll give that a try when it comes out. Okay, have you ever been playing on the Super Nintendo or Mega Drive games and you suddenly yank the controller too fast and the game freezes at a crucial point? Not yet, mate. I've never yanked the controller that much. So I've usually got extension cords on them as well, so I've got loads of free cable. You really need to YouTube Nick's Arcade TV show. Seriously, don't forget it. Okay, mate, I'll have a look when I've done this video. So thank you very much for those questions. Next set of questions from the K-Live Gamer, so thank you, mate. First question is, what is your favourite day and time of day? Probably favourite day is going to be like Wednesday, like midweek, because the week's just starting to get going then. Time of day, probably night time. Yeah. I do prefer the night time to the daytime. I don't know why that is. Although I think some people are daytime people, some people are nighttime people. I like, maybe it's the being closed off from everybody as well. You can, shut your curtains, lock yourself away, and just do what you need to do and enjoy your evening. Yeah, I just kind of like the vibe that you get at night time. I also like walking around in the dark as well. It's got a peacefulness, especially like early hours of the morning when no one's around. Like if you've been out drinking and you come back and you're walking through the streets at like 2 or 3 in the morning, there's no one around. It's just a really nice, calming feeling. What type flavour are your favourite crisps? I pretty much eat anything, but my favourite type of Pringles and Doritos, but yeah, I'll probably go more Pringles. Flavour, if it's Pringles, you're talking smoky bacon, I think they're called, the barbecue ones, but my favourite are sour cream and onion. They're amazing. Doritos would be the cool flavour. I like all of Doritos, but those are the best ones. The what do you call them? The hot ones, I can't remember what they're called now, but they're just not good. They mess my stomach up proper. Your most and least favourite radio station? I don't listen to the radio at all, mate, to be honest with you. On the very rare occasions I might listen to it, I would say my favourite station would be like One Extra. Least favourite, probably Radio 1. I like the radio, I get bored with. There's too much talking and not enough music and too many adverts. Do you know what them Picklets and Klondikes are? Not a bloody clue. I've heard the word Klondike before, but I'm not entirely sure what those are. And what's currently your least played, yet still favourite game in your whole collection? Jesus. Least played, yet still favourite. Probably Mario World at the moment. I haven't been playing Mario World a whole lot. I intended to go and try and get all 96 levels and I still haven't done that. So yeah, I'd say Mario World. Televisions, which ones do you prefer for everyday use? CRT, plasma or LCD? Ideally would be plasma, but unfortunately they're hard to come by now. There's not so many of them around. A lot of the companies are moving away from them, which is a shame because they are the best format. My TV I've got at the moment, well, the two TVs I got, like the main one and the game room one, are both LED LCDs. Which do alright, they do absolutely fine. They've got beautiful picture quality. Obviously you still get the motion issue, which is a pain in the arse with LCD TVs, which is why I prefer plasma. Obviously CRT for retro gaming, but for everyday use it's going to be an LED LCD. So cheers for the questions. Right, next set of questions are from Scribble Sam Animation. Okay, first question is, would you think it would be a good idea if a company made a new game console dedicated to a single game genre? For example, they can make a games console dedicated to light gun shooters. You get a console, light gun, D-pad, extra buttons for navigating the menus, and all the games you would play would be different light gun games made in different third-party developers. Different third-party developers, sorry. It probably wouldn't be able to compete with the Xbox One and PS4, but do you think it might still sell well? Maybe if light gun games were more trendy or something. I think it'd be cool if Sega made the console, because that would be Sega stepping back to the hardware industry, like everybody wants. It's essentially like an arcade machine, isn't it? Like a main machine is what you're talking about there, really, where you can just have several games. I just don't think it would ever be financially viable for a company to do that, because you're limiting yourself and they need to spread out and, you know, be available to everyone. But it's an interesting concept. A light gun machine would be nice, because I love light gun games. It's a real shame that they've gone away. Since you're collecting for the Super Famicom, are you interested in buying the Sufami Turbo? I think it's like the Japanese 90s equivalent to Amiibos. Oh, okay. But it's a cartridge that holds two cartridges, and you can make a character from one cartridge battle, a character from another. So is that like the VMUs on the Dreamcast? Is that what it is? I'm not sure if I'm right on this. All I do know is that it's a collectible. I've never even heard of it, mate, so I'm going to have to look that up. But if that's what it is, it sounds like a VMU, which is kind of interesting. And it was the PlayStation one. They had one for the PlayStation one. It was like a VMU and all. Can't remember what it was called. Someone let me know if you know what that is. Would you also consider getting a Teleview, even though it's useless, even in Japan? I have considered that in the past, but as you say, it's kind of useless because the service is not available. So it's more an ornament than anything, and it's more collectible. It all depends on the price. If they're too expensive, then no. But if they're reasonable, it'd be interesting just so you've got it in the collection as an interesting oddity to have, I suppose. Because I know some of the games like F-Zero 2, was it, that was on the satellite system, that's been put out on the cartridge as a reproduction, which is quite cool. And I think a couple of others have been done as well. Have you ever used a Game Boy camera and printer? I haven't, mate. I've always been interested by that, because it's fascinating how that would actually bloody work. I know the quality's debatable. But no, not yet. I had the chance to try one. So cheers for the question, Sam. So next set of questions, well, two questions from Minx36, my good mate Craig. Thank you, Craig. First question is, what two games are you currently playing the most on any system? At the moment, I'm playing, well, I'm only playing one game per system at the moment, actually, Craig. I'm playing Super R-Type on the Super Famicom, and it's kicking my ass, and I'm really having trouble with that third level. I finally got through to the boss the other day, and I just can't defeat the boss. I keep getting killed. That level is tough, and especially if you lose all your power-ups, it really kicks your ass. Other than that, I'm playing Metro Last Light on PS3 at the moment. That's the next game I'm playing, which is interesting so far. Not too bad. It's not really grabbing me that much, but I'm having fun with it. And is there anything else I'm playing at the moment? No, that's it. I've just obviously started Mercenaries on the Xbox, because I've just got that Xbox from Jay, which is awesome. So yeah, just those three really. What's the one system that you don't currently have that you're most thinking about getting again? Well, there are systems that I would like to get again, but there are also systems that I've never owned, like the Famicom AV, the AV Famicom even, which is something I would really like to own. It's a really cool system. And I've also been interested in the Sega Mark III as well, which is another system I'd like to own. In terms of systems I've owned before that I'd like to get back, the PC Engine is the main one really, like a Duo R with an RGB mod. I'd really like one of those because it's a beautiful looking system. yeah, just those for the time being. So thank you, Craig. The next set of questions are from Kate Hewitt, so get comfortable, there's going to be a lot of them. So thanks for the questions, mate, appreciate it. First question is, let me see. Weeks fly by these days. Do you find time goes by quicker the older you get? Yeah, absolutely, it seems to be. It seems you wake up, next thing you know, you're going to bed, and then the week's over, and then the month's over. I mean, we're in February already. I can't believe we're in February. Where did January go? Just, yeah, it ain't good. Not good when you just clock watching all the time, that's the worst thing. What fruit or vegetable do you think has the name with the most comedic value? I think turnip does. It's very bad. It's not something I've ever given any thought to, if I'm honest. Yeah, I haven't got a bloody clue. Ever been frightened about missing out on buying something and then turn to scalpers on eBay? There have been occasions, yeah, I couldn't pinpoint games and consoles, but yeah, there's always occasions where I look at it on eBay and I'll be like, if I don't, in my head I'm thinking, if I don't buy it right now, it's such a good deal, if I don't buy it now, I'm going to regret it and I'm not going to get it again. But I have learned that that's not the case, because eventually someone else will put an auction up. Even if you have to wait 6 months, there's always going to be another deal that will come up. And it's not like, even though it's weird because these games are so old and they're not exactly like, there's thousands of copies available, but they always come back up, people are always listing them. So yeah, there's no need to really jump straight in, I don't think. Okay, is this the way to run my real life? Maybe. New 3DS or 5 Wii U games, including already released and future titles? Ooh. Probably go the 5 Wii U games. Yeah, I'm tempted to say new 3DS, but I know I wouldn't play it. So yeah, 5 Wii U games. Would you ever consider what's that? Oh, sautéed steak for your dinner? To be honest, mate, I don't even know what that actually means. I've heard of the word. I don't know anything about cooking, so I don't know what that does to the steak. You said you like Aldi milk. Yeah, I agree. But what do you think of their customer service? I don't really go in there. I only go in there to get the milk and that's it. And my Aldi, they're absolutely sound. They're really nice people, really friendly. They have got this whole American thing at the moment, though, which is no disrespect to my American friends. It's just the whole, you know, have a nice day kind of thing. And for British people, that's a bit weird. It's not normal. It seems to be a lot of shops are doing that now. They're always like, you know, enjoy the rest of your day, which I know I put on my videos as well. But I do find it kind of odd when you're out in the shop and someone says that to you. It's nice though, it makes a nice change, you know. It's good to see them being pleasant. Did you enjoy my blog? I've still not read it, mate. I will get there, honestly. It just takes time for me because I've got so much going on all the time. I recently purchased Smash Bros. U and I'm enjoying it. Never played a Smash Bros. Game and I find it hard to tell what I'm doing half the time. That's my issue as well. Do you like the Smash Bros. Series? I would imagine you would, but you never mentioned it. I never played it once, which I've said before, on the GameCube, and I was extremely drunk, and I really enjoyed it. So I've never played it sober, so I need to try that. But it does look really complicated, and it probably isn't when you play it. I mean, that's like a lot of games can do that. You can look at them at first and think, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into that at all. And then you play it, and it's nowhere near as complicated as you first thought. So yeah, eventually I will pick it up. What's the worst film you've ever seen? Last night my wife and I watched Flight Plan. I've never seen that. It's Denzel Washington, isn't it? Is it Denzel Washington or is it Jodie Foster? It might be Jodie Foster actually. I think I'm getting confused with the other one where Denzel's a pilot. Certainly not the worst film ever, but the acting wasn't the best. The worst film I've ever seen, Transformers 2, easily. Biggest pile of shit I've ever sat through. I watched half an hour of it and had to turn it off. It was irritating me that much with the dialogue. I did eventually force myself to go back and watch the entire film, and it was absolutely bloody awful. And they haven't got any better. I was watching Transformers 4 the other night. I haven't watched the last hour because it was just, I thought it can't go on for another hour. The dialogue is so bad. So many attempts at humour that fall flat. The camera work is ridiculously over the top and way too flashy. The acting is subpar because the dialogue and the script is terrible. The action's bad. There's some borderline racist accents going on. It was shite. So yeah, Transformers 2, 3 and 4 actually. Where am I? Okay, do you like air travel? I've only done it once and I like the taking off, love that. Love the landing, just don't like that bit in the middle, scared the shit out of me. When you're looking out the window and you're getting up to the clouds, just my heart was racing and my brain was going, there's a piece of metal between you and the floor. It ain't good. I know there's more than that, but it doesn't feel that way. No, I enjoyed the taking off. I thought that was awesome. I love when the thrusters kick in and it's just amazing. What a feeling. And I love the landing when you're coming down, you see all the lights and you see the tiny cars getting bigger. Really cool. I'm due to get new glasses on Friday, the day this video will come out. I seem to remember you wearing glasses. Do you enjoy the experience? I'm used to it now, it doesn't bother me. Most of the time I forget I'm wearing them anyway, it's just natural. I only need them for like long distance and for watching TV and using computers just to take the strain off my eye. But yeah, I know some people don't. My dad, he can't stand wearing glasses, it drives him insane. But then he does a lot of DIY and they get in the way, so. Well, for me personally, it doesn't bother me at all. What's the most fearsome creature you've ever touched? I once touched a giant snake in Blackpool. I wouldn't, mate. There's certain creatures like spiders and that. As much as my arachnophobia is nowhere near the level it was when I was younger, I ain't touching one. You know, if I had a tarantula in front of me, I'd be out the door. No chance. Do you like comedy on telly like Blackadder, Alan Partridge, ITV News? I just said Sky News myself, mate. That's the biggest load of comedy. Yeah, I do. There isn't a lot of it nowadays, and a lot of it's a bit crap, to be honest, the stuff they do put out. Miranda was okay. That was probably the only recent comedy show that I actually enjoyed. But the old stuff, you know, Fools and Horses, Blackadder, and they're always good shows. What do you think of the cost of motoring? Thankfully, I want an economical and very reliable car. They just reduced the fuel costs on my car now costs about 15 quid less to fill up. Yeah, that's always nice. It's not that, but I don't really have major problems with mine. I spend about maybe 40 quid a month on petrol. You know, you just have to hope that nothing goes wrong with your car because that's when the money comes in, unfortunately. But yeah, so far not too bad. The petrol has been coming down. I know the other day I went to the petrol station at my local Morrison's and I noticed when I was watching the dial going up, I was getting quite a lot for my money, so I had to put 15 quid in just to get half a tank, so I was quite chuffed with that. Ever seen Finn Gamer? I've watched a couple of his videos, yeah. His complete Wii U collection videos prove someone exists who loves the Wii U more than me. I've seen that video, yeah. I don't know if it's worth getting a full Wii U collection because there's a lot of crap games, but nonetheless it looks nice. You're decorating the pot of paint is teetering above a priceless dog who has recently gained the ability to speak English fully, or a pair of scissors covered in a pile of every Super Famicom game ever released. What do you come up with this stuff, man? I'd probably protect the dog, yeah, because it's an animal. You can't let it die, especially if it speaks English. You can make millions. You know, you can stick it on YouTube. Is there the possibility of parallel universes? In one universe, you could be the MD of Nintendo, and in the other universe, I could be a turnip farmer. Yeah, I think there's an absolute possibility. I've said before, I think deja vu is down to parallel universes crossing and colliding. Always a possibility. I think you get that weird fuzzy feeling like you're not attached to your body. I don't know if anyone's ever had that. I've had it loads of times where you feel detached. Maybe that's what it is when the universes collide. But I definitely am open to anything. Anything's possible. You know, God's possible. Maybe there is a God. Maybe there isn't a God. Aliens are definitely possible. That's just logical. Parallel universes are possible. There's just so many things. Everything is impossible until we find out how to do it. What games are you planning to buy next for the Wii U? I'm considering Wii Fit U. At the moment, I'm still playing Toad Treasure Tracker, so I'm not too sure on the release dates at the moment. So maybe Yoshi will be the next one, Yoshi's Woolly World, because that looks amazing. Thank you so much for answering my questions, no problem. Are you a fan of the late Robin Williams? Yeah, absolutely. Robin Williams, great bloke, done some great films. I'm not like a stellar fan, but I like what he's done. 1 Hour Photo in particular was a fantastic film. To watch him do a straight role like that, scary as shit, man. He was brilliant. So thank you very much. Okay. So just bear with me, just trying to find the questions, see if we've got any more. Right, I think that's the last one by the look of it, yeah. So that's the last question. So there we go, that's it, guys. That's this week's episode in the bag. So hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching. I enjoyed it. And if you've got any questions for me, as always, just pop them down in the comments below and I'll answer those next Friday for you. Please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. Get it right eventually. And I'll see you next week.